I have found that there are plenty of people who unfairly hate fractions, and I believe that everyone should learn to love them. However, I am going to show you how you can solve this system without even using any of those fractions when you get into the elimination steps. So what you can do is actually flush out all of these fractions before you get into those solving the system steps that you're used to. The way that I'm going to do this is by choosing a common denominator in each equation. So I'm dealing with these equations separately. Looking at the first equation, I have a denominator of 9, a 3, and a 27. My common denominator between those three would be 27. Now you can use a bigger number if you want, as long as all three numbers fit into that number, but I'm going to go with 27. With the second equation, I'm thinking of what do 4, 8, and 6 all multiply into. I'm going to go with 24. If you thought of 48 or something bigger, that's fine too. What I'm doing is multiplying each equation by its common denominator. So that first equation is going to be multiplied by 27. The second equation is going to be multiplied by 24. I went ahead and I wrote each of those numbers over 1 because what we'll be doing is multiplying fractions with a whole number, and sometimes it's easier if you just put that whole number over 1 so that you can see that you're multiplying the numerators together and you're multiplying the denominators together. So for the first equation, that first term is going to become 27 times 1 over 1 times 9. The second term, you would have 27 times 1 over 1 times 3. And the third term, 27 times 19 over 1 times 27. And you're going to do the same thing with the second equation. So that results in the following. You have 27 over 9, 27 over 3, and so on. So now, when you simplify each of these fractions, you will be left with whole numbers. And just like that, you have a nice equation with whole numbers, or a nice system of equations with whole numbers that I am now going to solve using elimination. So you can start by eliminating your x's or your y's. I will demonstrate eliminating the x's here. I have a positive 3 and a positive 6. So the first thing you need to think is, all right, one of these needs to become negative if I'm ever going to eliminate one of them. 3 goes into 6, so I'm going to turn them both into a 6 by multiplying the top equation by a negative 2 in order for the x's to actually eliminate. So I didn't do anything with the second equation. I just multiplied the top equation by negative 2. And now you can see that if I were to add each of these columns, the x's are going to disappear. Now I can divide by negative 21 and I'll have my y value. So we end up with y equals 2. Now, remember, once you have y, you need to plug it in to find x. You do not have to use any of those ugly equations from the beginning with the fractions. You can use the equations when you got your whole numbers. So I'll go ahead and use the blue equation that I just drew an arrow to, and I'm going to replace y with 2. So plug in 2 and simplify, and you'll have your x value. So we end up with x is 1/3, y is 2. If you want to write your answer as an ordered pair, you can. So it would be 1/3, 2.